Chris, John for KaijuPop.com, where today we're having a look at Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, albeit in slightly compressed O-Vision thanks to the jury-rigged Facebook setup of getting video off. So we're looking forward to that firmware update that actually lets us take 720p videos and do stuff with them. But complaints aside, this is, the controversial prologue to The Phantom Pain. And what we're looking at here is my first efforts with the game, so excuse the absolute shitfest that this will turn into. This is not going to be the sneakiest of videos, but since doing this I have actually finished the main mission. It took about 10 minutes. No, it took 90. It took me an hour and a half to get through the Phantom Pain. Sorry, not Phantom Pain. To get through Ground Zero is just the story mission here. I haven't been fooling with the side stuff yet, so more of that with the full written review later on KaijuPop.com. This was, my first sort of attempts with the game, and you know what? I really enjoyed it. 90 minutes granted, but 90 really fun minutes as I'm tooling around here trying to figure out everything. One thing that was a surprise with Ground Zeroes is just how direct it is. There's, of course there's the sort of cutscene chicanery that Kojima loves, but it's short, and what you're watching here, by the way, is the Japanese retail release of the game, which is entirely in English, but with Japanese voice work. There's no English voice work in the game. It's Japanese voice with English subtitles. So if you're not a fan of Kiefer Sutherland replacing David Hayter, hey, you can get the Japanese version of the game and play with Japanese voices where it is all the original cast. So if you're a staunch OG Metal Gear loyalist, then you can do that. And one big surprise here is just how direct everything is. It kind of launches you into the action fairly quickly. After a brief by Hideo Kojima's standards cutscene, and you're launched into it. There's no tutorial, whereas that's certainly Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker had a massive tutorial, and you're left to sort of discover all this stuff on your own. Using the binoculars to mark people here. So it's got not the mark and execute as Splinter Cell, but the marking element, which is really, really cool. I love the fact that, you're left here without the old school Soliton radars. You've got to mark everybody yourself by looking at them with your binoculars, and then that kind of appears as well. On your map, or which you can bring up by touching the touchpad. I was actually using the second screen app, which puts the map on your iPhone or your Vita or whatever, and that's actually pretty helpful and pretty cool, and it means the HUD is pretty uncluttered, and I think that's the story of Ground Zeroes. It's a very uncluttered experience. You're, as I said, left to figure out everything, like the controls. I mean, you can open up the touchscreen and then hit the manual, but that actually opens up the web browser and goes, hey, and does it that way. Just in the fact that it feels very direct, the fact that you can't actually pause the game, even if you hit the touchpad to bring up the options, or hit the touchpad to bring up your map, everything's still happening in the meantime. And it just, everything feels modern. And I think if you played Peace Walker, which I did, and I love Peace Walker, then you will feel very at home here. I've messed this up already by getting spotted here. There is the slight nod to the past with the exclamation part popping up and the bleep. But it doesn't sort of, it doesn't give you a countdown of saying, hey, you'll be safe in these few seconds. Instead, it kind of, you've got to sort of listen to the radio communications that are happening as an indication of whether guys are being, whether guys are after you or not. So I've taken out that guy in the watchtower there and gotten a new record longest headshot. There's record tracking going on in terms of, furthest headshots, number of sort of tranked enemies, things like that, that pays into your letter grade and your bonuses at the end of each mission. And yeah, there's including some really cool ones, like if you blow a guy up, it sort of says furthest distance an enemy has been sent flying, which you will see a lot of later on in this video. Yeah, I mean, Peace Walker, I think, did a lot to modernize what Metal Gear Solid was, and I came to Peace Walker after playing Metal Gear Solid 4, and I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. I was a huge Metal Gear Solid fan until MGS 4, which I thought was just a mess. I didn't think it didn't know what it wanted to be. It was the most sort of bloated and horrible, you know. Hideo Kojima left to his free reign of wanting to do sort of movie style cinematic storytelling, and he's just not good at that. You know, he loves doing it, but I just don't feel he's particularly adept at it. So I hated that, and I loved Peace Walker for stripping a lot of that stuff away, for doing things like taking out the bespoke codec sections and having a lot of that in voiceover. That is certainly the case in Ground Zeroes. If I want to have a little codec conversation, I can just tap the L1 button and talk to my guy anytime. It doesn't go to a special screen. He doesn't even, Big Boss, doesn't even do the video game thing of walking slowly and holding his hand to his ear, which is phenomenal. He just sort of goes along, and it's like, and everything's baked into the game. And yeah, that's kind of what Ground Zeroes is. It's very bloat free. It's very sort of here you go into the sandbox and have at it and see if you can just get through the mission here, which doesn't take long, and it's very simple. It's following on story-wise from Peace Walker. If you've played that game, then you're familiar with the mysterious double, triple agent Paz. Because Kojima has to have one character in each of his games that alternates between that you face and heal like about 6 times in his game. But also Chico, the child soldier that you pick up early on in Peace Walker. They're sort of kept captive in this compound, and you've got to get them out. That's the Ground Zeroes mission anyway. There's not, I've sort of chosen this early footage just to prevent any story spoilers. There's not that much in Ground Zeroes as far as story is concerned, but yeah, what there is, I don't want to spoil, including the ending, which explains a little bit about what will happen on the Phantom Pain, but not too much, and yeah, contains one fairly controversial moment that I think has had some people engaging in discussion. I think that's something that's probably worth talking about at some point. It's a very uncomfortable moment at the end of Ground Zeroes, but that's all I'll say in the end of that. So yeah, I mean, you're in this sandbox as well, and a lot of sort of Metal Gear Solid games, certainly Peace Walker, which was very sort of bite-sized. Oh dear, screwed up here, so I've been spotted. And when you get spotted, everything goes into slow motion. You have a reflex mode, which you can turn off if you think that makes the game too easy. It basically gives you a brief window of opportunity to take out the guy that spotted you. And that's pretty much it. So if you're spotted by like 3 guys at the same time, you're kind of screwed. But if one guy has noticed you, then you've got a quick window of opportunity to take him out before they raise the alarm, which I've done here, but I'm being spotted over there in front of me. So I think this is where I did truly screw up, and everything's really going to kick off. Oh, it's all kicking off now. Yeah, and yeah, so I mean, I think when you are one thing that's very different in terms of the other Metal Gear Solid games as well, where the other Metal Gear Solid games were fairly punitive when it comes to stealth. One thing with Ground Zeroes, and this ties into the sandbox nature of it, is the fact that it kind of wants you to live with what you've done, and it kind of wants you to go, okay, try and sneak through. And when I did actually finish the story mission, I was doing it sneakily and I didn't kill anyone. And you can do that. You can go through the entire thing without getting spotted at all if you're good. But I'm not that good. And there you go. I've been hit by that searchlight. There's no way I'm gonna get that guy. So this is where it all kicks off. But it wants you to live with this stuff, and the way it does that is by kind of making it a lot easier, I want to say. It's partly the reflex thing, but it's also the fact that Snake takes a ton of damage, and that's, you know, it's got recharging health. There's no rations here. It's just, hey, you know, you get hit a few times, you can take cover, you can hide, and then you'll recover. And he takes a lot of damage before he goes down. That's just kind of the way it is. And I think that will be really divisive amongst people. I think sort of hardcore Metal Gear fans will really hate that. But I think it's this modernization of the game that's really of benefit. And I never really felt when I was tooling around with Ground Zeroes that, oh, I've been spotted, it's time to sort of quit out to the main menu and start again. Instead, it's just, okay, things have broken down, let's see what we can do. There are checkpoints, but the checkpoints are kind of, they're fairly spread out, and they're spread out to, I guess, story beats within the sandbox. So it's there's a fair bit of leeway between the checkpoints, and that gives you a lot of room for experimentation. So here, you know, there's a checkpoint when I first came through the gate onto the base. There'll be a checkpoint when I finally reach sort of Chico's enclosure, you know, in the POW camp. And there's a checkpoint when you sort of take into the landing zone and things like that. But with a lot of time in between, and that might be where the punitive aspect comes from, but it's also, it kind of encourages you to experiment and mess around an awful lot more. And I think you're pretty soon going to see the point where I start messing around a lot more. It is this, I see I've been spotted by two people here, and there's no way that I can pick off both of these guys. So it's all working off. You're noticing that the new CQC stuff, the close quarters combat melee stuff, it's all on the right trigger, it's all context sensitive. That's great. You can rush up to people and bash them into scenery, which is very, very satisfying. And I managed to survive it. There's, I did get spotted there by just holding up a searchlight basically onto myself. And this is we're coming up to the point where it all kicks off. But I think that the name of Ground Zeroes is the name of the game here is Experimentation, and it has to be because the game is necessarily so short. The story mission is so short. So it sort of revels in having these challenges and things like that. And you can't really talk about Ground Zeroes without talking about it as a value proposition, it seems, which I think is a little bit unfair. I think it's partly a problem with the way they did the reveal for Ground Zeroes, the way they did the reveal for Phantom Pain, the fact that they called them both Metal Gear Solid 5, and perhaps it would be better if this didn't have a 5 in it, if it was just Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, and then that they hadn't revealed the Phantom Pain up until this point. I think perhaps if they call this Ground Zeroes, maybe made it a little bit cheaper, maybe $20 instead of $30, and then, which it is the download version on the old gen systems rather. But yeah, if they'd done that and then saved the big Phantom Pain is Metal Gear Solid 5 reveal for the end of Ground Zeroes, then perhaps the reception might have been kinder, but yeah, so if we sort of hop on a little bit in terms of time, you can see I've sort of messed about a little bit, and you know, I've hopped in a cannon, which for whatever reason it didn't pick up in the initial save here. But yeah, you can hop in any vehicle you want. So I found a truck, getting this, and so that's awesome. The vehicle additions are cool. You know, and it's full of things like that. It's great at you, when things do break down, you can just go, I'm going to smash over water, you know, watchtowers with my truck now. I'm going to drive over this way. It's got that open world chaos kind of feel to it, which is tremendous fun. And yeah, you can have a lot of fun with Ground Zeroes, but it is what you make of it. And I think, like, if you come into the game, and it's perfectly reasonable to come into the game expecting something sort of more fully fleshed out, and there are parts where it does feel oddly sort of work in progress. The fact that even though this looks much prettier than the compressed video sort of shows off, the fact that there's a good deal of popping when you zoom in and out with your binoculars or whatever, or the fact, as you're about to see, that yeah, enemies ragdoll, but Snake doesn't when he dies. He just goes boom, which feels very early access-y. But still, I'm enjoying Ground Zeroes, and I think you might as well. Plenty more on the game on kaijupop.com to come. Chris Charlton, thanks for watching. Bye.